What's up, folks? Casual Dad here with another quick video. This time to talk about the Siege of Alaitoc campaign. We're going to go ahead and talk about the free card real quick, which is Amalia Novena, Sister of Battle, got your shields, she's common, has an okay range stat and a decent hit points for that cost, especially for having shields. Seems okay. Most of the time my Servants decks are melee heavy, and so I use the 17.1 instead, most often. Just to take a real quick look at the rewards here. This is what you're playing for. I try not to look at the dizzying height because I'm never going to get level 1 to 5. There's just no way. So we're looking kind of in this top 30% range. It's not hard to get here and then kind of hover here indefinitely. If you just play, you don't even have to play all of the charges, but if you just play a bit, you can get comfortably in that top 25 fairly easily. I do want to take a minute to say that this is the last campaign with the current model. So just to talk through it, right now the way it works is you have this number of plasma charges, and you can play a number of games equal to that number of charges, and those charge up within a certain time span. See here, I'm an hour away from getting another charge here. And if you max those out, if they're all blue and full up, then you will not accrue any additional ones. And so if you don't clear your charges within a certain amount of time, you can actually miss out on the opportunity to play the campaign or to get to the upper rewards that you would get to. So if you miss one day of a 3-day campaign, you can't possibly catch up with the other 3 days, which is a real bummer. And even if you play a little bit in a single day, you can miss several charges of games just if you don't play for like 4 or 5 hours at a stretch. So it encourages kind of an unhealthy playstyle where you have to jump on there and you have to play every hour or so, which I don't love. So the way they're changing this, though, is it's going to be you get a set number of charges per day. You just get all 6. And then no matter when you play, you get those 6 and that's it. And I really, really like that because it takes away that unhealthy accrual time thing that really encourages you to play in an unhealthy, psychologically manner. And then also it makes it easier to keep up with other players who do that so that you don't feel any of that pressure to do that at all. I like that. So you play in the morning, you play at night, you play a little bit whenever like you have your charges for that day and that's it. That's terrific. 2 other changes that they're adding that I really, really like. Number 1 is that even if you lose, you will still get some points. So even if you lose, you still have some edge over the players that didn't even play that round. And will get you a little bit closer even to the ones that did win that round. So that's awesome. And then the third and final piece I want to go ahead and highlight is they're also adding the win harder mechanism, where when you win, you will get extra points based on how many cards you had left in your deck, which is, that's cool. So much more healthy charge count. Don't have to worry about losing where you still will get some rewards. And then if you're winning by a lot, you get a nice bonus. So that's really good. So that will help kind of split people up into the actual kind of competitive play tier they're in. But then also because the total number of charges across the entire campaign is going to be dramatically shorter, it's going to be much harder for much easier, for players to get into that position 1 to 5 because they're going to be basically an infinite number of ties. So if you play every single one of your charges and you win every single game, you should end up in this position 1 to 5 spot fairly easily, unless somebody in there is winning way harder, in which case they'll end up in that spot and you'll be a little bit lower. So probably still not going to hit the top 1 to 5, but like the top 50 is going to be a whole lot more reasonable than it is at this point. It's really, really hard to get into those spots in these campaigns. So very excited about that. Just to look at this, the decks I've been running are max bonus decks. So this is the deck I started with. It's just got your kind of classic Sisters of Battle cards, some of the older, more common ones, and then also, of course, this staple, the Living Saint herself, Celestine. I did really luck into a single copy of this one in a reward pack not too long ago, so love it. That level 1 gives me a level 13. It's a little bit redundant with Celestine, but it's still good to have in here. And again, it gives me the max bonus and lets me fill the 200 deck points with useful pieces. Again, I mentioned that I used the 17 point instead of the 15 point that we're getting in the campaign. But it all depends. If you're doing a heavy range deck, that 15 point, you may only have those 15 points to spend and not the 17, or you may want to lean more on ranged. And at this level, that one has, I think, 40 at max ranged attack versus the 25 on this one. So, whatever you want to fit in your deck, whatever one you have the copies of. Then, of course, I have the taunts in here to really trigger the Canoness's ability. This is a really, really, really strong deck to get you very high in this. It's a tuned deck, much more than the Aeldar decks you're going to fight against. Because their max level Aeldar is a very scary proposition no matter what you're playing against, or no matter what level you're playing at. But this does give you a little bit of an edge that these decks are very tuned versus the kind of whatever cards will fit in the deck that you'll see, again, across the table. The other deck I've been playing with, and of course you can do Vol if you want max bonus as well. If you have her, you can do Greyfax, but Greyfax is actually not great in this campaign because if you want the max bonus, you do also want a full deck. So you want a full deck where every single card will give you some extra bonus, so you get a bunch of copies of that free card, and there you end up having to spend too many deck points for Greyfax to really be competitive. You can do it if you use cheap cards, but you're better off playing one of the other ones. And this is actually kind of my typical ladder deck that I play with Greyfax personally. Wanted to see it at max level. Got smacked down real hard by an Eldrad at level 18, but I did it. So I'm going to go ahead and play one game with my Canoness deck just so you can see a little bit of the campaign at this level, and then we'll leave it at that. We'll keep it pretty simple. I know I'm kind of late to the punch in this campaign and have not played all that much, so most of you who are watching this are probably further ahead than I am. So we'll keep it short. We'll see what you can see. I have some shame, not a lot of shame about buying the Battle Pass. I play the game a ton. It's not a whole lot, and I really, really like supporting the developers, and that feels like a really good time to do it, is with the Battle Pass. So I did get it, and now I'm rocking my full Salamanders banner and portrait and all that, and I really, really like it because I love the Salamanders. So, oh goodness. It does feel a little bit wide. It feels quite a bit too wide, or just bulkier than some of the ones you've seen before, just to get all the iconography in there. But it's pretty cool. And again, all about my Salamanders. Let's see. You usually don't want to do that. I just put a shielded card in an off lane from a barrage card, which is going to cost me extra shields. In this case, it's not as bad because this one is not doing a ranged attack at all, but it still is not great. Oh yeah, that's Rakarth. Now this is a great matchup against Rakarth because all the bonus attacks from the Canoness's ability will help stave off the extra health that they're going to be getting from that ability. And this is funny, so Scream Render's in here. I do want to highlight something though, that Scream Render is a melee card in a ranged deck, but it's not the worst thing in the world to do that. Oh god, that hurt. I didn't actually expect that. Oh yeah, because Berserk, of course. Because you get the ready value, which can help tank up your Warlord, in this case Rakarth, who has a melee attack, and also it counterattacks. So if you're playing against a melee deck with your ranged deck, when you shoot, they're not going to hit you very hard back, but then they're going to hit you really hard in melee, and having a card in your deck that will attack back is very valuable, even if it's not really combining with your other attack types. Now, most of the time, it's not valuable enough to justify doing it, but, you know, sometimes. It's not valuable enough to justify doing that instead of packing another hard-hitting ranged card in the same deck. That's what I kind of, to finish the thought I had there. Man, that Rakarth is going to have a lot of hit points. Alright, that won't be too bad to chew through. And this one, I haven't seen the enemy AI deck cheating too much in terms of what it packs in there, because most of the time in these campaigns, your opposing deck will not be set by the same limit that you are. So if it's a 100 deck point game, you may run up against 300 deck points, for example, or a 200 deck point game, you may go up against 300. I've seen a little bit of that on this in some of the later rounds. I did hit 18 and immediately lose with that Greyfax deck, and then I have to figure it out from there. But yeah, so keeping that in mind, if they're only 200 point decks, then they're fairly quick games compared to where these can be at the higher level of campaigns for later, which I also appreciate. Oh man, so many hit points. You have 400 hit points over there, bro. Oof. So he may get me on pure attrition just because it takes so long to chainsaw through that many hit points. And I'm running pretty low on cards myself, especially since I'm melee focused. So this is definitely an incentive to take a non-melee deck because you will run into both the Avatar, ooh, nice, and Rakarth, both of whom are better at melee. And if you go ranged, you can do something like Creed. Ursarkar Creed with ranged is just crazy. And we may go ahead and try that in a minute just to see what it looks like. Ooh, nice. Okay, cool. So those bonus attacks really help make a difference here. Rakarth is one of those warlords who's very, very good, but because his ability is a flat value, that plus 7 hit points matters no matter what, for sure. But as you get higher in level, he's got a fall off, where he just doesn't do... The extra HP he gets doesn't compensate for the amount of extra damage you take at higher level, and so he's one of the weaker warlords at the very upper tier level. But it's a very long stretch of the game before you hit that. And it's consistently like all max level decks are where Rakarth struggles. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and show the Creed deck I was doing to go ahead and get the free card, and that's just this right here. I'm going to change this out completely, just to really show off some of what you can do with max level. And max level with Creed, you go straight for your top end, your really, really scary stuff at the end. But I will say that some stuff... Oh yeah, Precision Shot and Barrage, bring it. Give me that. Excuse me. Creed also really benefits from shields, because they do they come back on redeploy. Oh yeah, that one's pretty good too. We're gonna go do that. Now normally I'm a little bit torn between my Valkyrie and then this guy here. This card I just recently got. I think mine is level 2 outside of this campaign. But the combination of Barrage and Precision Shot is just too good to turn down in a Creed deck where cards are going to redeploy multiple times. See, we're very quickly running out of points, so we got to throw in some of the Medicae and Taunt. Going to go with the cheaper options of both. Then you here, and then we'll see what other points we have left. And then you're here, we'll get a little, let's throw you in here. Why not? No, you're not ranged. We're really going ranged heavy here, so I'm going to try to keep it in theme. Oh, where are you? Where's my robot? This thing is absolutely bananas in a Greyfax deck. It's really, really good. And I did not realize that it has Precision Shot. I'm sold. And then we got you. One of the best cards in the game, period, let alone in Servants, is our buddy here. Let's try it. This is pretty thin, but we'll see. I should get some redeploys. The thing with Creed is you never, ever want to play Creed himself. At max level, he's better, but he's still... real squishy. So I'm really hoping that these cards do quite a bit of work. And all of them have some sort of on-deploy ability that they're going to get multiple times, except the ones that die. So up against Zephyr Blade, so heavy shooting Warlord, if not a heavy shooting deck. Alright, so right off the bat we get a melee card. He is going first. Really? Okay. 2 melee only cards. Ooh, God. So we'll roll with it. We'll see what happens. So you got the Medicae. I've got almost 500 hit points on this thing. Ooh, man. Oh, that is something you want to watch out for. You want to make sure to check your... Wow, that's a lot of melee. You want to check your deployment order for your abilities, because this guy almost killed my Medicae before the Medicae went off. And that would have been a problem. All the outflank, man. Why you gotta do this to me? And there is a limit to the number of times that your cards will redeploy. They will only redeploy twice each, so you get to play each card 3 times. Deploy once, goes back to your hand. Deploy again, goes back to your hand. Deploy one final time. So you do want to get the most out of them, and you can be careful about your redeploys. So if you're on your second redeploy with your really power piece, you may want to deploy another card rather than leaning on that one, because otherwise you lose your kind of ace play maybe too soon. Oh God, there you are. Woof. Okay. That is so much damage. My God. Okay. And so is that. That's just a crazy amount of damage across the board. And I should redeploy once, so this is my second redeploy. And this is where you can see Creed really shine, because this double whammy should let me take both of these out. Ooh, actually, let's do that. As this thing will deploy at, he's going to hit for 102 plus Big Game Hunter. And then in addition to that, which will do 35 across the thing there. Yeah, there we go. So we might have ourselves a wipe. Not quite, but close. So this hopefully really highlights the devastating power of a max level Ursarkar Creed deck, and it's cool to see that. It's been a while since I got to play Creed at max level, and I don't know if I've ever played Creed at max level outside of a 400 deck point game. So being able to see like the actual deck points you would get in a competitive match, I find much more valuable. I enjoy the 400 deck points, especially since that's going to be a game mode, but I like doing it at 200. So there we have it. Okay, that is through level, I believe, 17. I think I'm on level 18, but I'll double check that. And that's it. I'll keep this really short. We'll stop it there. I'm out of charges anyway. Good luck on the Siege of Alaitoc, and you know what? Holler if you have any questions.